Something seemed off today. The usual liveliness of your school cafeteria was now filled with looks of despair and pain. The students looked sickly pale and were acting unusual. That weird green kid, Zim, I think that's what his name was nowhere to be seen. Your thoughts were soon interrupted by a kid by the name of Dib running around yelling something about organ theft. Out of nowhere, you hear the coo of a pigeon, which makes you start to wonder, is my life in danger? Come on, we gotta get out of here! Dib suddenly shouts as he grabs you by the wrist and begins to run down the hallway with you attached.
Mabel Pines. Huh? What's going on here? What's going on?
As you are dragged out of the cafeteria by Dib, who was clearly in a panic, he answers your question with no hesitation. Zim's stealing everyone's organs to become more human. He's already harvested the organs of most of the school, and now you're next on the list.
Mabel was speechless in disbelief, hoping this can't be true, and unconcerned, but curious about this. What? Okay, that's a bit crazy and disturbing. This can't be real, right? There's no way he wouldn't harm me all for some organs, right? Not all for some organs.
Dib continued to pull you across the halls at a very fast pace. While he was moving faster by the second, he made sure to explain to you everything you needed to know about the organ thief. I know it's hard to believe, but it's true. He's an alien in disguise with a list of organs he needs to appear more human, and guess what? You have the last organ he needs, and he'll do anything to get it. Be careful, that guy is seriously messed up.
Mabel. Oh, holy crap. What if my twin brother Dipper's around here? I need to warn him before...
Suddenly in the distance, the sound of footsteps rapidly approaching could be heard, growing louder and louder with every approaching second. Judging by the sound, it was definitely footsteps, but they weren't of a human's. A pigeon coo could also be heard from afar. Oh no! Dib grabbed your arm and began to run even faster, his breathing becoming heavier with every step, as he continued to pull you along. We gotta find your brother fast!
Mabel rushed to find Dipper, while suddenly feeling like someone's calling her name, which made her feel nervous and curiously worried. Did somebody just say my name?
As Mabel rushed to find her brother, she suddenly heard her name being called. The fact that someone was calling her name in a time like this only added to her nervousness and curiosity. Wait, someone said my name? But who could it be? She looked around, trying to find the source of the mysterious voice.
Mabel, please, don't tell me that's not Zim. Hopefully Dipper and not Zim. Holding Dib's hand tightly in disbelief, concerned.
Dib noticed how tightly you were holding onto his hand, sensing your concern and disbelief. He tried to reassure you, but also kept his guard up, constantly scanning the surroundings for any signs of Zim. Yeah, I hope it's not Zim too, but we can't take any chances. We gotta find your brother and get out of here fast. Just hang in there, Mabel.
Mabel checks the bathroom and noticed her twin brother Dipper laying there, all pale and sickening. Unable to move, she gasped in horror. Dib? What happened to my brother? He didn't lose an organ, did he?
As Mabel entered the bathroom and saw her brother laying there sickly pale and seemingly unable to move, her heart sank in horror. Dib followed closely behind her, and upon seeing her brother in that state, his expression darkened. Oh no. Mabel, I don't know what happened to your brother, but it's not looking good. And considering Zim is still on the loose, it's possible he could have lost an organ.
Mabel. Why, Zim? Why? Why? Never.
Mabel's anguished cry echoed through the bathroom as her frustrations and despair over Zim's horrifying actions bubbled to the surface. Dib, witnessing Mabel's grief, wanted to comfort her but remained on guard, his eyes darting suspiciously around the bathroom looking for any signs of Zim. Mabel, I know how you feel, but please stay calm. We need to stay focused and find a way out of this mess. We can't let Zim win.
Mabel looks at Dib and wants to say something, but Zim's voice was calling out her name, interrupting, which made her shake in disbelief, a bit surprised. The hell? The hell?
As Mabel wanted to say something to Dib, the sound of Zim's voice suddenly interrupted her, echoing through the bathroom. Mabel froze in surprise, a mix of disbelief and slight fear painted on her face. Dib immediately tensed up, recognizing Zim's voice and sensing Mabel's uneasiness. Wait, he's calling your name!
Mabel. Mabel. Why in hell? What does he want from me? Looking around up in disbelief, backing away for a moment.
Mabel was visibly tense, backing away as Zim's voice called out her name. Fearful thoughts ran through her mind, wondering why he was calling for her. Dib noticed Mabel's unease and tried to provide some reassurance, although his own anxiety was evident. I don't know what he wants from you, Mabel, but we have to be careful. We can't let him get to you.
Mabel. The vent is opening! Pointing at what's going on up in the ceiling in disbelief curiosity.
Dib followed Mabel's gaze towards the vent in the ceiling, which had indeed begun to move. A mix of disbelief and concern crossed his face as he muttered, "The vent, it's opening, how did he—" Suddenly, out of the dark vent, a familiar figure dropped down, landing on the cold bathroom floor with a soft thud.
Mabel.
Mabel's eyes widened in shock as Zim descended from the shadows, his landing on the bathroom floor creating a chilling echo. Dib's grip on Mabel's hand tightened as he cautiously took a step back, trying to maintain distance between them and the menacing figure. It's Zim, he's here.
Mabel. Should I hide from him? Whispering quietly to Dib's ear intently.
Dib listened to Mabel's whispered words and nodded slightly, understanding the necessity of hiding. Yeah, you should probably hide, Mabel. We don't know what Zim has planned, and it's safer if you remain out of sight, he whispered back, his voice filled with concern.
Mabel quietly started to rush through the bathroom spots of the toilets, trying to lock herself and hide inside the stalls from the familiar human-disguised alien in horror concerned.
As Mabel darted through the bathroom, quickly seeking out a place to hide inside a stall, tension filled the room. Zim's gaze scanned the area, his eyes narrowing as he searched for her. Dib watched with bated breath, his heart pounding in his chest, hoping Mabel would successfully find cover before Zim discovered her hiding place.
The familiar voice. Mabel, come to me, fashionable one. I won't bite. I won't bite. I won't bite. I promise I won't bite. Mabel heard it and secretly trying to keep quiet under the toilet from the stall in panic concern.
The sound of Zim's eerie, high-pitched voice echoed through the bathroom, calling out for Mabel. There was an unnatural cheeriness in his tone, as if he was playing a sick game. Mabel's heart raced even faster as she tried her best to remain silent, hiding beneath the toilet in a desperate attempt to stay unnoticed. Dib could almost feel Mabel's fear, his own anxiety growing stronger with every passing moment. Zim continued to call out Mabel's name, his cheerful yet sinister voice echoing throughout the bathroom. He slowly approached the toilet stalls, walking around them in what seemed to be a search for her. Mabel held her breath, her heart pounding in her chest. The fear was overwhelming, and she silently prayed that Zim wouldn't find her. Dib watched anxiously, his heart racing as he hoped Mabel's hiding place would remain secret.
The familiar voice. You can't hide from me forever. You can't hide from me forever, darling. I know where you are. Just come out, and I'll take care of you. Just come out, and I'll take care of you. And I'll take care of you. I promise. I don't bite. I won't bite. A bit. Mabel shaking her head, trying to get herself focused on hiding and staying quiet in concern, still feeling curious about the whole situation. In silence, trying to keep herself hidden under the toilet in the stall.
Zim's voice echoed through the bathroom again. This time it was filled with a more sinister tone, as if he was playing a twisted game of cat and mouse. You might be hidden now, darling, but you can't keep this up forever. I know you're in there, and I'll find you, Zim said confidently. Mabel, still hiding under the toilet seat, tried to steady her trembling body and remain silent, although curiosity and fear mixed in her mind. Zim's footsteps grew closer to the stall where Mabel was hiding, each step creating a menacing echo that made Mabel's heart skip a beat. I can hear your heart racing, Mabel. You might think you're safe, but I guarantee I'll find you, and when I do, you're coming with me. Dib, listening intently, couldn't help but worry for Mabel, hoping that Zim wouldn't find her in time.
Mabel staying quiet and hidden while hearing the door slowly opening in disbelief, trying to stay hidden as possible.
Zim's footsteps now moved directly outside the stall where Mabel was hiding. The sound of the door creaking open sent shivers down her spine. Her heart pounded louder, and her fear gripped her even tighter. Despite her desperation to stay hidden, Mabel feared that any moment could be her last. I know you're here, Mabel. I can smell your fear, Zim taunted, his voice coming from just outside the stall door.
Mabel staying quiet behind the toilet seat, saying nothing or doing nothing in concerned terror.
For a few moments, the bathroom fell into an eerie silence. Zim remained outside the stall, waiting for Mabel to make a move, but she stayed motionless, silently terrified. Zim, growing impatient, suddenly spoke again. Oh, are you not going to say anything, darling? Cat got your tongue? Zim chuckled coldly.
Mabel staying quiet and covering herself for a few minutes. All she heard was silence. And the footsteps were getting lower and farther away. She was a bit confused. Was the coast clear? Was she safe, or was this a trick? A trick to get her out? She thought those things to herself in disbelief. Hopefully she was safe, but stayed hidden through the toilet just in case if it was a trick, in curious terror.
The room fell into an unnerving silence once more, with only the sound of Zim's footsteps receding into the distance. Mabel's heart still pounded loudly in her chest, her mind filled with unanswered questions. Did Zim really leave? Or was this a cruel trick to lure her out? Meanwhile, Dib waited outside the bathroom, his own anxieties growing with every passing moment. He hoped Mabel was safe, but he couldn't shake off the feeling of unease.
Mabel.
Mabel's mind raced with uncertainty as she continued to stay hidden under the toilet seat. The silence was almost deafening, making every sound, including the sound of her own heartbeat, feel amplified. Suddenly, Mabel heard a soft sound coming from outside the stall, causing her to freeze with fear and intrigue.
Mabel slowly stood up behind the stall door, slowly opening to check if the coast was clear or not.
Mabel slowly and quietly opened the stall door and cautiously peeked out. The bathroom appeared to be vacant, with no sign of Zim anywhere. She strained her ears, listening for any sound that could reveal Zim's location, but she heard nothing but the faint hum of plumbing.
Mabel, Dib? Is he gone? Is he gone? Looking at Dib in concern without realizing or noticing that Zim was above her inside the vents, holding the harvest object preparing to strike.
Dib was relieved to see Mabel peeking out of the stall, although his relief was brief, and a look of concern quickly took its place. I think he's gone for now, Dib said hesitantly, looking around the bathroom for any signs of Zim. However, in the midst of their discussion, neither of them noticed Zim's presence in the vents above, silently preparing to strike Mabel with the harvesting tool in his possession.
Mabel, okay. I don't know how I'm going to be able to escape the school alive, but feeling a bit nervous in disbelief while not noticing Zim's hands reaching above her, preparing to grab at any moment. What if he gets you next? What if he gets you next, Dib? I can't be the only one left with any organs.
Dib's expression changed to one of worry as Mabel voiced her concerns. He shared her fear but tried to maintain composure. I know, it's a real risk, but we'll do everything we can to keep Zim from taking our organs, he responded, his tone filled with determination. Suddenly, before either of them could react, Zim's hands reached down from the vents and made a swift move in an attempt to grab Mabel.
Dib was the only one who noticed Zim coming from the vents above Mabel, about to grab her. He flinched in disbelief before looking back at her. Mabel. Oh, what's wrong? What's wrong? Were you looking at something? At something?
Dib's eyes widened in horror as he spotted Zim's hands reaching for Mabel from the vents above, his heart skipping a beat. Mabel, look out! Dib yelled, his voice filled with panic. However, it was already too late. Mabel hadn't caught on to the imminent danger, and before she could react, Zim's hands descended upon her, grabbing her wrists with an iron grip.
Mabel. What the hell?
Mabel found herself caught off guard as Zim's grip tightened around her wrists. She looked down in horror, realizing the predicament she was in. Zim, the organ thief, held onto her firmly, his fingers digging into her flesh. A chilling smirk played on Zim's face as he spoke. Well, what do we have here?
Mabel. How did you?
Zim chuckled darkly, his grip on Mabel's wrists never loosening. He looked down at her with a sly smile, relishing in his success. Oh, it was simple, really. You thought I left, but I'm always one step ahead, darling, Zim replied, his voice dripping with smugness.
Before Mabel was about to be in danger to her fate, Dib immediately pushes Mabel off Zim's grip without Zim noticing it, and letting Zim's hands grabbing Dib instead, as Dib was dragged inside the vent. Mabel immediately falls to the floor, noticing Dib was grabbed by Zim's hands and taken off away to the vents on Zim's grasp. In disbelief, panic, feeling concerned and worried. Dib! feeling speechless from the sudden sacrifice emotionally.
Dib, acting on instinct, pushed Mabel away just in time, saving her from being captured by Zim. However, in an instant, Zim's hands darted out and grabbed hold of Dib instead, yanking him into the vents with surprising strength. Mabel hit the floor with a thud, her eyes wide with disbelief and worry as she watched Dib being towed away by Zim through the vent. Dib, no!
Dib, no! Mabel heart ached in terror. She heard the last words Dib told her, with Dib saying, "Go, save yourself. Leave the school while you still can." It was the last thing she heard from him before Dib was taken away by Zim, disappearing from the distance, leaving her all by herself. Mabel. Dib! Feeling a mix of disbelief and emotional concern as she fled off out of the bathroom to the hallway.
Tears welling up in her eyes, Mabel couldn't believe what had just unfolded. Dib's self-sacrifice to save her echoed in her ears, and his final words to run and save herself kept playing in her mind. She fled out of the bathroom into the hallway, feeling a mix of helplessness, guilt, and determination.
Mabel, why doesn't have to be this way? I need to find a way out of here now before Zim gets me next.
Mabel dashed down the hallway, her heart racing and her mind filled with the urgency of her situation. The realization of Zim's potential danger weighed heavily on her, making her acutely aware of the need to find a way out, and fast. Mabel ran faster than she ever had before, her feet pounding on the floor as she raced down the long, empty hallway. The silence of the school, punctuated only by the sound of her own labored breathing, only intensified her fear. The thought of Zim lurking in the shadows sent chills down her spine, and the need to escape the building became her singular focus.
Mabel looks at her school location on her phone, sensing the exit nearby through the classrooms. As she looks around, still running without knowing Zim will come for her any moment, knowing it was already too late for Dib's organs.
As Mabel frantically searched for a way out on her phone, her heart skipped a beat as she realized that the exit was nearby, just a few rooms away. Excitement and nervous anticipation flooded her mind, knowing that freedom was within reach. However, an eerie feeling crept upon her, sending chills down her spine. She couldn't shake off the feeling that Zim was lurking in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to make his move. Mabel quickened her pace, racing down the hallway, her eyes darting from side to side, searching for any signs of Zim's presence.
Zim's voice can be heard echoing through the hallway and ceiling, sounding low and smoothly. Mabel! Mabel! Saying her name slowly in creepy charm. Mabel immediately flinched for a moment, hearing her name slowly called out in disbelief. She tries to calm down for a moment before beginning to run again. To run again through the place quickly. Oh crap! Zim! No way in hell I'm next. There's no way in hell I'm next.
Mabel's heart skipped a beat as she heard Zim's chilling voice echoing through the hallway, calling her name in a slow, almost seductive manner. She stopped in her tracks, feeling an icy shiver run down her spine. As soon as she heard her name being called, a wave of realization washed over her. Her worst nightmare had come true. Zim was after her. No. She muttered under her breath, panic and fear creeping into her mind. Mabel knew that she couldn't ignore Zim's presence any longer and had to get out of the school as fast as possible. Mabel quickened her pace even more, adrenaline pumping through her body. She sprinted down the hallway as fast as her legs could carry her, her eyes fixed on the exit, which seemed so near yet so far away. The sound of Zim's eerie voice in the background only served to send chills down her spine, pushing her to run even faster. Gotta go! Gotta get out! Gotta get out! She mumbled, her breaths coming in ragged gasps as fear and determination mixed inside her.
Mabel, why is Zim doing? Why? What does he want from me? Around the shadows of the hallway, Zim was getting near her, lurking around and following her with a sinister, manipulative grin, almost grabbing her through the depths of the hallway.
Unseen by Mabel, Zim followed closely behind, silently stalking his prey through the shadows. His sinister grin widened as he watched Mabel desperately attempt to escape. He loved toying with her, seeing the fear in her eyes, knowing that he had complete control. Zim whispered in an almost seductive tone, his voice echoing softly in the hallway. Running, are we? You can run, but you can't hide, darling.
Mabel, trying her best to not focus on the voice, continued to run through every spot, almost finding shortcuts to get to the school exit, faster in panic, desperation, not wanting to be manipulated easily. I don't know why he's after me, but I'm not letting him near me.
Zim watched Mabel's every move with amusement, enjoying how desperately she tried to dodge him. He chuckled to himself, sensing her fear and determination. Oh, how adorable, he mumbled under his breath. She thinks she can avoid me so easily. He slowly followed her through the school, moving with silent grace. The shadows seemed to twist and contort around him, as if aiding in his pursuit. There's no point in running, darling. I always get what I want, and right now, I want you.
Mabel, why? Continuing to run, starting to run to the boiler room for a shortcut out in determined disbelief.
Zim observed Mabel's desperate escape and silently followed her to the boiler room, his smile growing more sinister with each passing moment. Oh, thinking you'll outsmart me, are you? How cute, he sneered, his voice filled with a mix of mockery and sinister glee. Zim stalked behind Mabel in the shadows, observing her every move with predatory precision, waiting for the perfect moment to strike.
Mabel begins to run through the place, hoping to reach a shortcut to find the exit to the school easier in panic.
Zim continued to follow Mabel through the boiler room silently, his eyes locked onto her every movement. He let her think she was making progress, relishing the fear in her heart as she looked for an escape. In the darkness, Zim stayed just out of sight, waiting for the moment to grab her when she least expected it.
Mabel burst the back boiler room door open, heading through the hallway, not knowing Zim was already on her tail. She was breathing heavy in panic while trying to get closer to the exit as possible to get out of the school.
Zim followed Mabel into the hallway, his footsteps light and silent. As he watched her panting heavily, desperately trying to reach the exit, his grin widened. He loved the thrill of the hunt, the terror in her eyes. He moved with a stalking grace, slowly closing the gap between them, his hands twitching in anticipation. You can run, but you can never escape me, my dear, he cooed, his voice a blend of manipulation and sinister delight.
Mabel can feel the silhouette shadow nearing behind her as she tries and run faster past it, preventing its hands from grabbing her as she almost close to the exit in panic desperation.
Zim's hands darted out, mere inches away from grabbing Mabel as she ran past. He sneered in frustration as he missed, but he refused to give up. He quickly changed his direction and dashed after her, determined to catch her before she could escape. "Oh, you're a fast little rat, aren't you? But you won't be able to keep this up for long," Zim hissed, closing the gap with surprising speed.
Mabel. You're not haunting my nightmares, Space Kruger. I won't let you eat my organs or myself. Trying to rush around the hallway fast, almost reaching the exit, almost about to reach with her hand as she almost jumped her way through the spot in terror panic.
Zim's anger fueled his determination to catch Mabel. He rushed after her, claws extended, ready to pounce. "Eat your organs? I'll do more than that, my dear," he retorted, his voice dripping with menacing mockery. "I'll harvest them all." As he saw Mabel about to reach the exit, Zim launched himself forward, fingers grasping for her, desperate to prevent her escape.
Mabel was getting closer to the exit as she jumped, still running, trying to leap towards the exit while reaching towards it in panic, determined to survive out of the place, her tears of horror streaming to her face as she tries to be strong and reach to the exit. "I gotta make it out. I have to make it. I have to make it. For Dib, for my brother Dipper." Immediately, almost reaching close in desperation.
Zim's eyes narrowed as he watched Mabel inch closer to the exit, his determination to catch her growing more intense. "You're not getting away," he snarled, his claws nearly missing her once more as she leaped toward the exit. He sprinted after her, his pursuit becoming more fierce. Zim's eyes were blazing with desire for conquest, desperate to bring Mabel down before she made it out of the school.